It's very tempting. Yeah.
Since we're on goggles, do you want to talk about the O4 Pro that came out?
What's an O4 Pro? I don't know about
Skyzone
this.
O4X Pro. They released a new version of the O4X.
Really? No, I didn't know. I don't know anything about this.
Oh, okay.
So I guess I'll talk about it. Obviously, I will just look at the webpage, form an opinion, and immediately start blathering. Right? That's what we do on live streams, isn't it? Skyzone, SkyO4. What's different about the O4X Pro, Blunty? Is it, let's see, 52-degree field of view. That's enormous.
Yeah, new OLED panel.
Oh, 16:9 OLED panel. That's interesting. I'm glad it's a 52-degree field of view because with a widescreen, that's actually probably about the same 4:3 field of view. I haven't done the math. 100 FPS frame rate. Oh, I see what they're doing. They want to be used with a Walksnail VRX. Is that right? Is that what I'm hearing?
Unfortunately, no.
Well, then
what? I think
they
have a bandwidth issue with their goggles. I don't know this for sure, but the way they've listed them, if you scroll down on the right, there's a table.
What?
Check out where it says HDMI in at the bottom blue section.
720p 100.
That's but not 1080 100, right?
Yeah, no, but I know why that is. I already know why that is. So HDZero, I'll bet this is the same OLED panel used by HDZero. Actually, frankly, there's very few high frame rate OLED microdisplays that anyone can buy. And when HDZero came out, HDZero said, or Rotor Riot told me, I don't remember who told me this, that it was the exact same OLED panel in the HDZero goggles as in the Walksnail goggles. Because there's just not that many OLED micro displays that support high frame rate. So then the question was, why didn't the HDZero goggles support high frame rate? They only went up to 90 FPS, not 100 FPS, like Walksnail. And Carl said the official specs for the panel don't support 1080-100. They only support 1080-90. And the statement, I don't want to attribute direct quotes to anyone in particular because this is all in my memory. So we'll take that as a sort of a caveat on the whole thing. But he said basically that Walksnail is overdriving the panels outside their normal specs to reach 100 frames per second. And then HDZero goggles now support 720p 100. So that they can be used with the Walksnail VRX. And the idea, as you suggested, Blunty, is it's a bandwidth issue. At 720p 100, it's okay, and the panel isn't being overdriven and damaged. But at 1080p 100, it would be. But they can run 1080p 90 and be within spec. So I'm going to guess that's why. That I'm going to guess it's the exact same panel that's used in the HDZero goggles and the Avatar goggles. And they're doing the same thing that HDZero did by limiting it to 720p.
Gotcha. Somebody in chat said that the Walksnail VRX doesn't do 1080-100, but I thought maybe I'm confused. I thought that was.
It doesn't. But I think so. Again, we're getting hazy in. Do you remember this with me? Originally, the HDZero goggle wouldn't do the 100 FPS. It would only do 90 FPS for the HDZero camera. It would not do 100 FPS and could not be used with the high frame rate of the Walksnail VRX. And do you agree?
Yes.
And then people were like, "Wah, it'll do 90 FPS. Why won't it do 100 FPS?" And Carl was like, "That's out of spec." And then the firmware changed, and suddenly the goggle did 720p 100. And it was like, well, okay, at 720p we can push it. That's I'm pretty confident about that stuff. So that's, again, I feel like this goggle is tailored straight for the digital receivers, the HDZero 90 FPS and the Walksnail 100 FPS. And other than that, it's probably just a Skyzone. But that's cool.
Yeah, you also lose quadversity. Which I don't know
nobody
how many
was
people
fucking
are actually doing.
Nobody was fucking using quadversity anyway. They were all using. No, I don't know. Maybe they were. Does it have the new Skyzone module in it? The newest, bestest Skyzone module, right? You know what I mean? Does it come with a module at all?
It's not the SteadyView X. It's a SteadyView V3.3.
The SteadyView X is the one that's like
I think
rapid
the
fire and
SteadyView
fusion.
X is the fancy one, right?
No, it should really come with a fancy one.
Well, the SteadyView is
$500.
supposed to be like rapid fire, but in testing it wasn't. Then they made the better one, and yeah. I believe it's still going to have the same like weird compatibility issues with a few cameras that people still report. But
wait,
I'm
no,
not 100% sure.
The SteadyView X is just. The SteadyView X.
Oh, did we figure out that was just that board in a different thing?
Yeah, the SteadyView X is just a SteadyView module in a case, is my recollection.
So then it should be the newest module.
This is the newest, bestest SteadyView analog module. Should be on par with rapid fire and fusion. So good. What we've got here, is this better than the HDZero goggles in some ways? Because it's an analog.
It doesn't come with the HDZero VRX. That's the problem, right? So it depends on what you're. It depends on how much you care about analog. I think because if you're buying the Bay plus a rapid fire, and you're paying another $200 for HDZero goggles, right? Yeah,
absolutely.
But you're going to pay another $200 for the HDZero module. So then there's like a choice of like which do I want to have.
With the HDZero goggles, you could have analog, walk snail, and HDZero on one goggle. It's going to be a clunky mess, but you can't do it. With these, you would have to swap between HDZero and walk snail if you wanted them mounted on the goggle.
Yep. I wonder. Yeah.
$500. How much are HDZero goggles? $600.
Yeah, they're marked down to $500. I'm guessing this is like a release thing, right?
But the HDZero goggles come with an HDZero receiver, right?
Right.
This plus an HDZero receiver.
Yeah, it's like that's the thing is like you're spending $200 for the HDZero receiver, or you're spending $200 for quality premium analog that should be comparable to the new SteadyView module, right?
So price-wise, the SkyO4X Pro beats the HDZero by about $100.
Yeah, if you're gonna slap a rapid fire in the module in the Bay on the HDZero goggles, I think it does beat the price.
Interesting. Well, Skyzone, we're trying to stay relevant. Isn't that interesting? I guess another question you could ask, and I don't know the answer, is would you rather have like a Skyzone? I think it depends on what your primary system is. I think that's what it comes down to. If your primary system is walk snail, then the Goggles X start to look really appealing. But as soon as you add an analog system, like the Goggle X support for analog is really clunky. Like they don't have an analog DVR, which if you fly analog, you want a DVR. Like it's really dumb that they don't. Have they fixed that in a firmware update yet? I think I heard that they can't fix that in a firmware update.
Yeah, I think that was Madstech's reporting was that it wasn't fixable.
Yeah. So like if you care at all about analog, the fact that the Goggles X don't have an analog DVR is going to be a deal breaker for you. You'd be like, okay, well that's just clearly not an option. So then if you're big into analog, then either you might look at this new Skyzone, or you might look at the HDZero, which has an amazing analog. It has like a comb filter, and it's got one of the best analog receivers, or analog sort of, is it a receiver? It's not the receiver. Analog displays, let's put it that way, and a great analog DVR. All right. Well, I think we've talked about that enough.